Assalamualaikum and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our forum today. First of all, I would like to thank all of the speakers and the audience. Thank you very much for attending the forum for today. Our issue that need to be discussed is about the issue the international company logistics face during this pandemic. Well, before we get into the topic, I would like to introduce our panel for today's forum first. The first panel is Datuk Seri Putri Shahrina, the Vice President of Industry for BDP International Logistics. Next is our specially invited Mr. Amer Qarman bin Zakaria, the Health Officer from Ministry of Health Malaysia. Well, the next panel is Mr. Nabil Alauddin, the Logistic Executive. And the last but not least, I am Siti Aishah Nabila binti Zainal Abidin as the moderator for today's forum. We are proud to be here today to share and gain knowledge about the logistic company that has been affected because of the pandemic now. There is no doubt that almost all people have been affected due to this crisis with COVID-19. There are also among us who are laid off due to our peers not being able to pay their salaries for their company to survive in this relatively long term. It is not only the small workers affected, but there were some large companies also affected, and some of them were logistic companies that suffer a lot of losses as a result of this pandemic. So, ladies and gentlemen, to further this topic for more details, I would like to invite our first speaker to give some information about her company and what is the current situation of her company, whether there are some issues going on or not. So, welcome Datuk Sri Putri Shahrina, the Vice President of Industry for BDP International Logistics.
Thank you, Aishah, as our moderator and lead our discussion for today. Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Putri Shahrina and I'm Vice President of Industry for BDP International Logistics, and I would like to share and talk to you guys for a few minutes and tell you the importance of what is going on COVID-19. The issue regarding international logistic transportation, COVID-19 have lately brought, I think, a new way and a new challenge to a lot of companies in the world of logistics. So let me share some information with you guys a little bit about this and where we are at right now, and hope to give you some information that you guys can get. In the recent past, we all know that COVID-19 has immensely caused logistic transportation disruptions. Transportation disruptions refer to the interruption in the actual flows which delay the delivery from one node of a supply chain to another country. It has led to an impact transportation network industry that can see based on air and freight limitation. With the country on lockdown, the freight industry was the first to feel like effects of the pandemic. On typical flights, most passenger planes usually have a relatively small percentage of cargo in their undercarriages, with all the aircraft grounded and most flights cancelled. The market has had to deal with supply shortage, and also for ocean routes have been used as a cheaper alternative um, means of transport at the expense of timely delivery. Ocean carriers had to cancel sailings on several ports due to the reduction of supply of manufactured goods out of Asia. With barely anything to transport, the ever busy ports are now serving as docking ports for many cargo liners. Land transport has felt the same because in order to meet required demands that are increased because most people are staying at home, many logistic business have ended up overworking the driver. For example, customer in Malaysia that have ordered the item through China, they have to wait for a delays destination. The companies that rely on drivers signing on their goods can no longer rely on operators. This is due to the social distancing regulations set by the government to curb the spread of the virus. I believe in this forum there is someone in the audience who is involved to with the international logistic who works in this particular industry. So I just want to randomly ask, what are the biggest challenges that you're facing right now and in logistic, and challenge that your customer are facing right now?
Hi, sorry for interrupt. My name is Batrisyia. I would like to answer your question because my job scope is relating to the international logistics. So basically, there is a huge balance with normal supply and the demand relationship at this point. So we have seen that countries are closing borders, people isolating, companies stopping operation, and that just a daily basis on how a huge challenge things are moving. So there is no other way like just being responsive and reactive really swiftly to the situation. What is the biggest challenge is probably for each of us, and the client is safety, and I believe that the trouble at this point is one of the biggest priorities for everybody. So basically, safety is the number one priority, and the world is waiting in isolation, but companies have to act completely opposite. So we have to deliver on the promise. We have to respect the people who go us around. So we have to do everything to keep the safety. So logistic at this point is means to fight the coronavirus in some cases. It also helps us to convey the message because we eliminating the distance between where the goods are manufactured to the place and where they consume. So in this case, the most essential goods which we are talking in this situation, and this is what help us to elaborate to the drivers why they are really doing this job and to keep why they always to keep safety during this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you to our panel and our audience. So, for a rather long discussion for us to understand about the complexity of the situation experienced by large corporate companies out there. However, even though we have been living in this new norm for quite long, we also need to be aware of the ugliness of this virus because until now there are still new cases being reported every day. So I would like to invite our next panel, Mr. Amer Qarman, the health officer from Ministry of Health Malaysia, to explain in more detail about this coronavirus, and at the same time, he will give us a little information about the effects of the virus infection, and he will tell us about the ways to prevent us from being infected with this pandemic too. Welcome, Mr. Amer Qarman, the Health Officer from Ministry of Health Malaysia, to answer our question.
Okay, thank you to moderator. Okay, first of all, my name is Mohd bin Qarman bin Zakaria. I am the health officer from Ministry of Health Malaysia. Okay, based on the question, in late December 2019, a new novel coronavirus was identified in China causing severe respiratory disease, including pneumonia. It was originally named novel coronavirus, and the World Health Organization, which is WHO, advised the following language associated with the virus. Okay, SARS coronavirus 2 is the virus that causes the ailment SARS-CoV-2. Okay, coronavirus disease is the name of the infection-related disease, which is COVID-19. Okay, and then COVID-19 is a high consequence infections disease that is spread through the air. Okay, the SARS-CoV-2, which is the virus, is spreading over the world as evidenced by the WHO situation reports dashboard. Okay, so um, signs and symptoms of coronavirus disease uh, may appear to 2 to 14 days after exposure. This time after exposure can be exposure and before having symptoms is called the incubation period. Okay, common signs and common system can be included. Is A is first is fever, second is cough, the third one is tiredness. Uh, Early symptoms of COVID-19 may include a loss of taste or smell. Other symptoms can include shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, muscle aches, sore throat, running nose, headache, chest pain, vomiting, and diarrhea. Okay, this list is not all inclusive. Children have similar symptoms to adult and generally have mild illness. Okay, the severity of COVID-19 symptoms can range from very mild to severe. Some people may have only a few symptoms, and some people may have no symptoms at all. Some people may experience worsen symptoms such as worsen shortness of breath and pneumonia about a week after symptoms start. Okay, so we go next to the effects or impact. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in a significant loss of human life around the world, and it poses an unexpected threat to public health, food systems, and the workplace. The economic and social disruption caused by the pandemic is devastating. Tens of millions of people are at risk of falling into extreme poverty, while the number of undernourished people, currently estimated at nearly 690 million, will increase up to 132 million by the end of the year. Okay, millions of enterprises face an essential threat. Nearly half of the world's 3.3 billion global workforce are at risk of losing their life, livelihoods. Okay. Informal economy workers are particularly vulnerable because the majority lack social protection and access to quality health care and have lost access to productive assets. Okay, millions of enterprises face an essential threat. Okay, sorry. Okay, so impact towards logistics company. Uh, First is capacity. Okay, capacity evaporated. In normal times, ocean freight is typically around 90% of global trade volume. But the pandemic initially curtailed the supply of manufactured goods out of Asia. Then it rippled across the world and sent demand for goods shipped by ocean freight plummeting. Ocean carriers responded by removing shipping capacity from the market, cancelling sailings and eliminating strings where vessels call on several ports before reaching a final destination. Air freight capacity also dropped in large part because it's a significant portion of air cargo flights in the bellies of passenger flights, many of which were cancelled as passenger traffic dried up. Meanwhile, driver shortages and cross-border restrictions shrank road freight capacity in certain places and led to long backups and delays. So for fluctuating demand, COVID-19 has turbocharged the consumer shift to online buying. In Italy, e-commerce sales of consumer products rose by 81% in a single week. McKinsey forecasts that 55% of consumers in China will continue shopping online as the crisis eases. For example, buying cars without ever visiting a showroom. Businesses weathering the storm include those with omnichannel inventory strategies that have pivoted to Workplace, which is buy online, pick up in store. Models and smaller firms such as restaurant and transformed their websites into points of sale and converted themselves into delivery operations. Um, the fulfillment and delivery that is also inexpensive for the consumer. Among the solutions is alternative inventory storage, more warehousing close to point of origin or destination, conversion of stores in, into storage as distribution and fulfillment hubs, or strategic use of ocean freight as floating storage through, through careful timing of orders and deliveries. The last one, in fact, is inventory management. Consider the COVID-19 bullwhip effect. The changes in consumer demand that ripple through the supply chain at ever greater magnitudes, creating a long-term problems for production and supply. This can be seen in the one-off surges in demand for toilet paper, stockouts one week and then excess inventory build up the next, from goods delayed to goods unwanted. The pandemic has created inventory chaos. So there are some solutions exist in creative logistics. First is improving visibility tools and using advanced data analytics for better modeling. Then moving stock closer to key markets. Okay, working out whether smaller volumes of inventory are needed in order to um, be more responsive to fast-paced trends. Okay, the last one is demand planning and ordering in shorter, more frequent cycles. Okay, so that's all about my explanation. So, is there any other impact that you know other than I told you just now? Anyone?
Hi, my name is Haifa. May I add something? So we know that logistics is the firm which are involved in the movement, storage, and flow of goods. Basically, they also have been directly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. When the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 as a pandemic in early 2020, more and more countries across the globe shut down their borders and limited transportation and travel to contain the coronavirus outbreak, thus creating impediments for international trade and transportation. As the outbreak caused disruption in supply chain operation, the logistics and transportation industries were hampered in various ways across air, bridge, and sea segments. As an integral part of value chains, both within and across international borders, logistic firms facilitate trade and commerce and help businesses get their products to the customers. Supply chain disruptions to the sector caused by the pandemic could therefore impact to the competitiveness, economic growth, and job creations. And thank you.
Alright, thank you to Mr. Amer Qarman, the health officer from Ministry of Health Malaysia, and for Haifa, the audience, for these very interesting details. Every word that has been explained to us have some extent will affect us all in better keeping our safety and hygiene from being infected or exposed to this infectious disease. So now we know this virus is very dangerous. Without delay, I would like to invite our next panel, which is Mr. Nabil Alauddin, the logistic executive, to give some word discussion about the solution to the challenges facing the international logistic industry due to this pandemic of COVID-19. So welcome, Mr. Nabil Alauddin.
Thank you, Aishah, for inviting me towards the discussion today. I am honored to be here as invited guest to pass as little as possible about the international logistics issue that occurs around the world. So, I am Nabil. As a logistic executive, I want to peel off a little bit about the solutions that companies all around the world can do, which is airlines are embracing the cargo way, where most airline companies have redesigned their passenger planes to act as cargo planes during this period. This is in a bid to keep their profits high and provide employment to some of the workers that are affected by this pandemic, so that the more cargo planes and freight operators can cater the services to small and medium freight forwarders. This way, empty spots can carry cargo in addition to belly cargo. Other than that, to prevent this COVID-19 before it spreads to many people, logistics company can do charter sharing amongst competitors. Charter sharing and freight consolidation among shippers and forwarders competitors in order to move more commodity. COVID-19 has also affected all three global transportation segments, the air, land, and water freight due to operational constraint. Supply chain also disrupted, which brings damages on revenue for logistics company, being it a small player or big players. In response to this, we have to thank for the government that has exempted ports, shipping, and trucking services from lockdown measure. This is to to maintain the movement of goods from places to places. There is also a list of new safety protocols that are made to ensure the safety of workers from COVID-19. For example, like social distancing at the warehouse, disinfecting work areas, or preparing safety gears to workers. Being adaptable in situations like this are also profitable as we can varies our services to providing medical equipment such as facial masks and protective gear. Also, by filling the warehouse with grocery to keep the demands in check are also profiting for the top players. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the informative and interesting talk, Mr. Nabil Alauddin. With this, so we know that there are many companies affected as a result of this pandemic. They are not only affected in terms of dumping of goods, but affected to get the customers. So our forum is not complete today without a Q&A session. There will be 2 sessions and each session is for 3 questions. Do not forget to mention your name and where are you from. So from this, any question from the audience?
Sorry, my name is Batrisyia. I'm from Sepang. So I have a question to the logistic executive of the company, which is Mr. Nabil. So, like you have stated before, the most airline company have redesigned their passenger planes to act as a cargo planes during this pandemic period. So, does redesign the passenger planes to cargo plane is very costly? And do you know any company that redesigned their airplane?
Well, that's quite a serious question addressed. Well, with this, I invite Mr. Nabil Alauddin to answer the question, please.
Thank you, Aishah, and thank you for the question. That's a very good question indeed. So basically, passenger to freight conversion is a cheaper temporary measure than what was implemented by most airlines during the COVID-19 outbreak. While the fixed conversions are a financial bet by previously weak air transport and will only get stronger for years to come as buyers turn to e-commerce. So, like what you asked before, do I know any company that is designed their airplane? Yes, I do know some of them. Like there are a few companies that I know that change their old passenger planes into cargo planes or transport planes, such as the Air Canada, the CDB Aviation China, and also the S7 Group in Russia.
Alright, before you go on, I'd like to ask something. Before that, my name is Haifa. I am from Pulau Pinang. May I know what are the other alternative modes of transport that many companies use as their go-to transport modes as response to the crisis?
Thank you, Haifa, for the question. So I would like to invite Dato Sri Putri Shahrina to answer the question.
Okay, let me answer your question, Haifa. Okay, since the reduction of passenger flights has reduced airplane daily cargo capacity, Companies such as DHL have used charter flights to transport shipments to and from China. Airlines are also repurposing passenger aircraft for cargo. Some observers are even forecasting a move for the China to Europe rail as 60% of the air freight capacity between China to Europe has vanished. That's my answer. Thank you.
Oh, all right, ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, finally we come to the end of our forum. With the end of our question and answer session today, our forum also ends today. We would like to say thanks again to the all speaker, which Datuk Seri Putri Shahrina, Mr. Amer Qarman, and Mr. Nabil for the informative and interesting talk, and to audience for active participation. Without you all, this forum will not be successful. So hopefully the forum will be beneficial for everybody, and I hope that we can fight for this pandemic to live like before. Last but not least, stay safe and hashtag kita jaga kita. Thank you all for the intention. So that's all. Bye.
Bye.